All right, there you have Victoria Idowu, feeling the pulse of the people in the nation's commercial capital. So welcome back to The Verdict. And as I said before we took the break, we'll go back to Abuja Studios, where the Executive Secretary of the National Human Rights Commission is with us, Mr. Antonio Ojukwu. Now, Mr. Ojukwu, I could put this very simply and just ask, in your view, have the rights of this ad hoc staff been violated? And if you agree that their rights have been violated, what form of redress can they seek? And how can this situation be changed between now and Saturday?
Yeah, as the whole scenario was playing out and I saw this on the social media, what occurred to me immediately was, did the planners really mainstream human rights into the arrangements? Because the first thing to consider when you are planning for this kind of thing is to understand that people have rights and their rights have to be respected. And to mainstream human rights into the planning, you have to make sure that the planning process is transparent, is open, is inclusive, is non-discriminatory. And in the planning, did you involve the corpers to know the arrangements made for them, or were people planning for them without involving them? The conditions set out for them, was it dehumanizing? Was it inhuman and degrading for them? Are they benefiting in the process? For instance, you have an arrangement where people cannot sleep before they go and embark on a whole day's exercise. Will it not affect their performance in the next day? Mm-hmm. The arrangement made for them to sleep, yes, it's not a matter of mattress or mat, but you could see as they were lying, as they were scattered on the floor, none of them had adequate bed space even to lie down and stretch out fully if they had wanted. And we are talking about medicals. What if there were emergencies? How could they have coped with that? So I can see that human rights was not really mainstreamed into the arrangement for the corpers. It was just thought of in terms of being a national emergency. They could have, the respected director was talking about just few hours. Yes, there's a basic number of hours a human being needs to sleep every night to be able to operate optimally the next day. So an arrangement could have been done where these materials can be distributed in tons and in batches to make sure that at least each one of them is able to catch some minimum hours of sleep and not proceed on the platform that are just going to have about 1 or 2 hours. They will stay awake all night. Are you also thinking of the ability to perform the duties effectively the next day? Because it will be counterproductive if after everything, they now mess up the entire elections the next day because they did not rest well. So going forward, I think in planning things like this, we should look at it from a human rights perspective and make sure that we mainstream human rights into the planning, that the people are given their dignity, that they are involved in the planning, and that they actually benefit from the process.
Mr. Abdul-Rashid, let me come back to you, because you had told us on the other side of the break that you've been very concerned and you've been monitoring and going around to put your report together. What are you going to put into that report? And the reason I'm asking is because Saturday is a couple of days away. What did you notice by yourself going round, and what are you now going to do differently with this report that you're writing?
Yeah, the essence of going around, sending officers across the states to get reports across to management and the commission is to help, is for planning purposes, to assist the core members where necessary. And regarding the last experience, we communicated immediately what we saw. And I believe, like some of us did too, that the logistic problem is which the chairman made mention of, is the source of this problem. Because the necessary materials, like mat or mattress,
buckets,
basic
toiletries,
and other welfare needs were not seen at the rec centers, in most places.
I think it's quite clear that logistics, was the problem. But the question is, are you now raising requests for these things to be there? That is the active question.
We are working. We have communicated. We have communicated that. We have communicated that. Like I told you earlier, since last Saturday, in fact, since the beginning of the week, we sat with the commission. The management of the scheme have met with the commission to do the needful. And as I'm talking to you, all the necessary things are in place. And by the next rescheduled elections, I think we will not experience what we saw the last weekend.
So the core members should hold you to that promise that you're making to them tonight.
I pray so.
Okay, it's a good way to answer without committing yourself. Dr. Afolabi, we have just a few moments left. Your final words on this subject of logistics and the action plan.
Well, I think what's important is that communication is very critical. The Nigerian people, we have the right to know. We have the right to know what is going to happen on Saturday. So it's important that the briefing, goes on till Friday so that we're assured. What people need now is to have that confidence that Saturday is going to happen. And for the NYSA, I think it's also important for them to communicate, to everyone. People have children amongst the youth corpus, to let us know what is the situation. You don't want to go and endanger the lives of people. We don't want to put them in that kind of dehumanizing state. So Nigerians, we have a right to know. So I think what we are not doing enough is communication. So that communication that they have internally is important. I would have expected that they would have gone there to assess the place. They would have gone there to go to the location. They have officers across the country. So it shouldn't be a big deal to go and find out where is the rack? What is the state of the rack? You can also negotiate. Our people cannot come to that rack if that rack is not done in a manner that a human being can live there. So it's we take a lot of things for granted. And that's how we violate people's rights. I think we need to move forward from that. Beyond that, I think INEC has a lot to do. The international community, Nigerians, everybody is looking at what will happen on Saturday. We don't want the kind of embarrassment of last Saturday. So we must all commit to ensure. And for the political parties, I think it's also important. They are eating up the polity. That is the truth of the matter. People are saying it's no longer do or die. It's do and die. We don't want to get to that level in this country. So they must also be careful about what they say. There must be a lot of caution, so that we don't drag this country to a place that we don't want to be.
The final word will come from Mr. Ojukwu in Abuja studios.
Yeah, my view is that we have to mainstream human rights in everything we do in this country. And that's the way you can respect the dignity of people. You can see that the corpers themselves were not involved in the negotiations concerning them. The negotiations were done by authorities at their back, and you can see the consequence now. I think to deepen our democracy, there has to be inclusiveness, there has to be transparency, there has to be openness, and of course, the leaders must know that they are accountable. Just like what has happened now, the planners of that rack arrangement are being asked to account. And I hope moving forward, they have to have in mind that people will definitely want to know and ask them the right thing, so that they have to do the right thing from the beginning to avoid problems like this that will put everybody, put the youth corpers' life in jeopardy and create problems during the planning process.
Thank you very much indeed. We've completely run out of time, so it's just for us to say thank you very much to Mr. Sanusi Abdul Rashid, the Acting Director of Core Welfare and Inspectorate NYSC. In spite of your political answer, we're still going to hold you to that promise that the corpers will not suffer the same fate that they did last week. The Executive Secretary of the National Human Rights Commission, Mr. Antonio Ojukwu, thank you so much for being with us. And of course, here in our Lagos studios, Dr. Abiola Akeode Afolabi, the Chair of the Transition Monitoring Group, the TMG. Thank you so much for being our guest tonight. Thank you. IJ, time to go.
Yeah, time to go.
Please keep those tweets and Instagram posts coming.
Yes,
there are very many of them. Unfortunately, we didn't have time.
Yeah, lots of them had to do with the exchange between
Senator Malaya and Mr.
Exactly. But yeah, we do encourage you to continue to write into us. What did you see? What did you experience? Hashtag the verdict and hashtag 2019 elections. And to remember once again to go out there and vote in spite of everything that's surrounding the electoral process.
And don't forget to send us your picture with your PVC to show that you will be voting. And location, very important.
Location. We'll be back tomorrow.
Good night.
Good night.